There is a tiredness that does not come from work or from lack of sleep. It is a quiet, hollowing exhaustion that lives in the marrow of your bones. It is the exhaustion of having held up the sky for someone else, only to find yourself standing under it alone when the rain begins to fall. It's the feeling you have after you hang up the phone, having once again explained, soothed, and managed an emotion that was never yours to begin with. It's the silence in the room after they have left, a silence filled not with peace, but with the ghost of your own energy, which left with them. You gave it away, freely, because that is what you do. You are the kind one, the understanding one, the one who can hold it all. But as you sit there, in that echoing quiet, a cold question rises from the depths of your body. Why does your greatest virtue feel like your most profound wound? Why does your kindness, the very thing you were taught to value, lead you back, again and again, to this place of depletion, this feeling of being a beautiful, empty cup? You have poured yourself out to quench another's thirst, and now, when you look inside, there is nothing left for you. This is the secret agony of the giver, the quiet tragedy of the empath, who has not yet learned the sacred geometry of their own soul. You believe that your boundless compassion is a gift to the world, and it is. But a gift given without a container, without a sense of self to hold it, becomes a hemorrhage. It doesn't just flow out, it bleeds out. And what you are experiencing is not the joy of giving, but the slow, creeping trauma of self-abandonment. The kindness you offer to others has become a form of cruelty you inflict upon yourself. It has become a betrayal. This is not a story about learning to be less kind. It is a story about learning why your kindness became a currency you used to buy a sense of safety, and how the act of drawing a single, terrifying line in the sand, a boundary, is not the end of your goodness, but the true beginning of yourself. The role was offered to you so early, you don't even remember the audition. The role of the good one, the mature one, the peacemaker, the easy child, the dependable friend, the low-maintenance partner. You learn the script by heart. Your needs are secondary, your feelings can wait. Your purpose is to absorb the friction in the room, to be a soft place for others to land. And you played the part beautifully. People praised you for it. You're so strong. You're so understanding. I don't know what I'd do without you. Each compliment was a little reward, a little piece of validation that reinforced the identity. In the language of Carl Jung, you perfected your persona. The persona is the mask we present to the world. It's the socially acceptable version of ourselves, designed to navigate reality, to fit in, to be accepted, to be loved. For you, the persona of the helper or the savior was not just a convenience, it became your entire identity. Your ego, your sense of I, became completely fused with this mask. To be you was to be helpful. To be you was to be endlessly understanding. To be you was to have no needs that could possibly inconvenience anyone else. This wasn't a conscious choice. It was a survival strategy, learned in a family, a school, or a relationship where your value was directly proportional to your usefulness and your lack of friction. For a long time, this mask worked. It brought you a form of love, a form of connection. It made you feel essential. But a persona that is not balanced by the truth of the inner world eventually becomes a prison. The mask, once light as a feather, grows heavy. It fuses to the skin. The smile you wear for others feels like it's cracking the skin of your real face underneath. The exhaustion you feel is the deep, soul-level fatigue of holding this mask in place, day after day, interaction after interaction. You have become a human shock absorber, and your own system is breaking down. The problem is, you don't know how to stop. To take off the mask feels like a betrayal of everyone who relies on it. More terrifyingly, it feels like a betrayal of yourself. If you are not the good one, then who are you? The question is so frightening that it feels safer to just keep giving, to keep pouring from that empty cup, even as you feel yourself turning to dust inside. But this is only the surface of the story. The true drama is not in the mask you wear, but in what you have been forced to hide behind it. To build the perfect persona of the good, kind, and understanding person, certain parts of your humanity had to be disowned. They had to be deemed unacceptable, shameful, or selfish. They had to be cast into the darkness, into the basement of your psyche. This is your shadow. In Jungian psychology, the shadow is not evil. It is simply the unconscious, rejected part of yourself. It is everything you are, but have convinced yourself you are not allowed to be. For the chronic giver, the shadow contains a treasure trove of forbidden things. Your anger, your right to say no, your exhaustion, your needs, your desire to be taken care of for once, your fierce protective instinct, not for others, but for your own sacred energy. You live your life consciously identified with kindness, patience, and self-sacrifice. So, your shadow becomes the repository for their opposites. When someone crosses a line, a flash of rage might rise in you, but it's instantly suppressed. I shouldn't feel that way, the persona says. I should be more understanding. When you are bone tired and someone asks for yet another favor, the no dies on your lips, replaced by a weary, of course. Your body is screaming for rest, but the persona insists on performing its duty. The profound exhaustion you feel is not just the cost of overgiving. It is the immense, continuous effort of psychological suppression. You are using a colossal amount of life force to hold your own shadow at bay. You are at war with yourself. The kindness you show the world is fueled by a constant act of violence against your own inner truth. This is why, in quiet moments, you might feel a strange, simmering resentment that has no clear target. It's the voice of your shadow, whispering from the basement. What about me? When is it my turn? This is why you might find yourself inexplicably drawn to characters in movies or books who are unapologetically selfish or rebellious. They are living out a part of you that you have forbidden. The dynamic becomes a perfect, tragic lock and key. Your persona of the boundless giver sends out an unconscious signal. This signal is magnetic to a corresponding pattern, a pattern that thrives on taking, a pattern that seeks an external source to regulate its own inner chaos, a pattern that is expert at finding an empty space and filling it with its own needs. This is the essence of the narcissistic or manipulative dynamic. It's not a conscious predator hunting for a victim. It's an energy pattern seeking its complement. Your boundless kindness creates a psychological vacuum. You have erased your own needs, creating an empty space at the center of your own life. And nature, including human nature, abhors a vacuum. Someone will always step in to fill it. You project your own goodness onto them. You see their potential, their wounded inner child, the person they could be if only someone loved them enough, understood them enough, was patient enough. You are not seeing them. You are seeing a reflection of your own idealized capacity for love. You fall in love with a project, a potential for salvation, because your persona is that of the savior. Meanwhile, they project their disowned dependency onto you. You become the externalized parent, the emotional regulator, the one responsible for their happiness, their stability, their self-worth. You are no longer a person in a relationship. You are a function. You are a resource. This is often rooted in what Jung would call a complex, an emotionally charged cluster of unconscious ideas and memories. If, as a child, you learned that love and safety were conditional on being good, quiet, or helpful, you developed a good person complex. Now, as an adult, this complex is activated in your relationships. It runs on autopilot. The unconscious script says, to be loved, I must give. To be safe, I must erase my own needs. If I assert myself, I will be abandoned. And so you dance. You give, they take. You explain, they become confused. You soothe, they create more chaos to be soothed. You pour from your cup, and they drink, complaining that the water isn't quite right. And you, believing the problem must be with you, try to pour better, purer water, digging deeper into your own reserves until you hit the dry, cracked bottom. The self-betrayal is complete. You have abandoned your own soul to tend to another's ego. Then, one day, something breaks. It might not be a loud shatter. It might be a quiet internal click. Maybe it's after one conversation too many, where you felt like you were speaking a foreign language. Maybe it's a moment you look in the mirror and genuinely do not recognize the tired, anxious person looking back. Or maybe it's just a moment of pure, physical inability. The phone rings and your body refuses to move. A text arrives demanding an immediate response, and you simply put the phone down. You don't respond. You don't explain. You don't rush in. You do nothing. You have just drawn your first real boundary. And the first thing that floods your system is not relief. It is not a surge of power. It is a tidal wave of suffocating, world-ending guilt. Your heart pounds, your stomach churns, your mind races with 1,000 catastrophic scenarios. They're going to be so angry. They're going to think I'm a terrible person. I'm being selfish. I'm hurting them. This isn't me. This is the most critical moment in your entire transformation. And this is where most people falter. They mistake the guilt for a sign that they have done something wrong. They rush to apologize, to over-explain, to tear down the boundary they just built, and to restore the old, familiar, soul-killing dynamic. But here is the deeper, more uncomfortable truth. This guilt is not a moral compass. It is a withdrawal symptom. You have been addicted to the persona of the good one. Your sense of safety and self-worth was tied to playing that role. The guilt is the alarm system of that old identity, screaming that you are going offline. It's the shriek of the complex as it loses its power. It is the sound of the prison bars rattling as you dare to touch the lock. In this context, guilt is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is the most powerful sign that you are finally doing something right for yourself. You are beginning to choose yourself, perhaps for the first time. The intensity of the guilt is a direct measure of how deeply you have been enmeshed, how much of your identity has been fused with the needs and emotions of another. Feeling this guilt and not acting on it is the Herculean task. It's sitting in the fire of your own discomfort. It's allowing the other person to have their feelings, their anger, their disappointment, their accusations, without making it your job to fix them. This is the moment you stop being a function and start becoming a person. And this is where the work of Carl Jung becomes not just a theory, but a lifeline. This act of holding a boundary, of separating your emotional reality from another's, is the very beginning of what he called individuation. Individuation is the lifelong psychological process of becoming the individual you were always meant to be. It is the journey of differentiating yourself from the collective, from your parents, and from the unconscious roles you have been playing. It is the process of becoming whole, of integrating the conscious and the unconscious, the persona and the shadow. It is the journey toward the self, the true, organizing center of your psyche. For someone who has lived in a state of fusion with others, the boundary is not a hostile act. It is the fundamental act of psychological creation. It's like drawing the first line of a circle that will eventually become your own sacred space. Before that line, there was no you and them. There was only a blurry, painful us, where you were constantly erased. The boundary says, this is where I end, and you begin. Your feelings are yours, and my feelings are mine. Your happiness is your responsibility, and my happiness is mine. This is terrifying, because it feels like a declaration of war to the old system. But it is actually a declaration of peace for your own soul. You are not building a wall to punish them. You are defining the perimeter of your own country. You are finally claiming your own psychic territory. This is why it feels so monumental. You are not just learning a new communication skill. You are engaging in an act of psychological birth. You are separating from the symbiotic state and daring to exist as a sovereign entity. This is why the guilt is so primal. It's the echo of the pain of separation that is necessary for all new life. Holding that boundary, tolerating the guilt, and surviving the backlash is how you begin to integrate your shadow. You discover that saying no does not make you a monster. It makes you a person with limits. You discover that your anger, when honored, is not a destructive force, but a sacred messenger, telling you where your sovereignty has been violated. You learn that putting your own needs first sometimes is not selfish. It is the prerequisite for having anything genuine to offer anyone else. The persona of the good one begins to soften. It becomes more flexible, more authentic. You are no longer just a mask. You are a face. A face that can be kind, yes, but also a face that can show tiredness, a face that can show disagreement, a face that can hold its own ground. You are becoming whole. Life after the first boundary is a new and disorienting world. The other person in the dynamic will not celebrate your newfound sovereignty. They will likely escalate. Their behavior is designed, unconsciously, to pull you back into the old dance. There will be accusations. You've changed. You're so cold now. I can't believe how selfish you've become. Notice that these are all judgments on your character. They are attempts to reactivate your good person complex and trigger the guilt that sends you scrambling back into compliance. There might be manufactured crises, sudden dramas that require your immediate intervention. This is a test to see if you will drop everything and resume your role as the emotional firefighter. There might be strategic helplessness, a sudden inability to cope with things they were perfectly capable of handling before. This is an attempt to make you feel necessary again, to hook you back in through your desire to help. Your task is not to argue. It is not to defend your boundary. A boundary explained is a boundary negotiated. Your task is simply to hold it, quietly, calmly, consistently. This is where you embody the integration. You use the energy that you once used to suppress your shadow, your anger, your no, and you use it to fortify your new position. You let the accusations fly past you. You observe the manufactured crises without diving in. You respond to the strategic helplessness with a calm, "I trust you can handle it." Each time you do this, you are casting a vote for your new self. You are strengthening the psychic muscle of self-possession. And something remarkable begins to happen. The exhaustion starts to recede. It's not an overnight miracle, but a slow, gradual return of your own life force. It's like a parched landscape finally receiving a gentle rain. Colors start to return to your world. You have energy for your own interests, your own joys. You begin to fill your own cup. The cup becomes the central symbol of your journey. For years you held it out, begging others to fill it, or you allowed anyone and everyone to drink from it until it was dry. Now, you take it back. You hold it in your own two hands. You learn what fills it. Is it time in nature? Is it creative work? Is it quiet solitude? Is it connection with people who give as much as they receive? You become the sacred guardian of your own wellspring. You learn that your kindness is not a limitless resource to be plundered. It is a precious gift. And from now on, you will only offer it from the overflow, never from the substance of your being. If this journey names something you have felt but never had the words for, take a moment to acknowledge the courage it takes to even consider this path. The person you were is not gone. The kindness is not gone. The compassion is not gone. What has changed is the foundation upon which they stand. Before, your kindness was rooted in fear, the fear of abandonment, the fear of not being good enough. Now, it can begin to be rooted in genuine strength and choice. You will discover that authentic kindness is not boundless. It is, in fact, beautifully boundaried. It knows what is its to give and what is not. It can say, "I love you," and the answer is no. It can say, "I feel for your pain, but I cannot carry it for you." It can say, "I am here for you, but not at the expense of myself." This is the beginning of true emotional maturity. It's the move from the unconscious contract of, "I will give you everything if you will just love me," to the conscious declaration of, "I will love myself first and share my whole and happy self with you." The journey of individuation is long. Drawing the first boundary is just the first step, but it is the step that changes everything. It is the moment you stop walking the path of self-betrayal and turn onto the path of self-reclamation. The silence that now fills your room after an interaction is different. It is no longer an empty, draining void. It is a full, peaceful, and sovereign space. It is your space. You have come home to yourself. The cup you hold is no longer empty. It may not be overflowing yet, but it is yours. And for the first time, you can feel the steady, life-giving water of your own soul beginning to gather within it. My kindness no longer requires my self-betrayal. This mantra becomes the new earth beneath your feet. But at first, the ground feels unsteady because your body is still braced for the old earthquakes. You have spent years, perhaps decades, with your nervous system tuned to a single, frantic station, the needs and moods of others. Your muscles have learned to hold the tension of unspoken words. Your breath has learned to shorten in anticipation of a demand. Your very posture has been a question mark, an apology, a plea for acceptance. This is the body memory layer, the deep cellular archive of your self-abandonment, and it does not update its files as quickly as your conscious mind. So even as you feel the mental relief of holding a boundary, your body might go into a state of profound confusion. You might experience strange aches in your shoulders and jaw, the places you held your unexpressed no. You might feel a tremor in your hands, a system that has forgotten what it feels like not to be holding on to something or someone. You might feel a wave of exhaustion so deep, it's different from the old depletion. This is the fatigue of a soldier finally coming home from a war that was being waged entirely inside their own territory. This is the nervous system beginning its slow, painful, and glorious process of recalibration. In the language of somatic psychology, you have been living in a functional freeze, a state of appeasement or fawning. You kept yourself safe by becoming exquisitely attuned to the threat, the potential disapproval or anger of others, and molding yourself to neutralize it. Now, by holding your ground, you are signaling to your primal brain, for the first time, that you are not in mortal danger. You are signaling that you are your own safe harbor. The process is not linear. There will be days when a simple text message sends a jolt of the old cortisol and adrenaline through you, and your body immediately wants to revert to the old script of immediate appeasement. The work here is physical. It's noticing the tension in your gut and consciously breathing into it. It's feeling the urge to immediately reply, and instead, putting a hand on your own heart and telling that terrified part of you, "We are safe. We can wait." You are, in essence, reparenting your own nervous system, teaching it, breath by breath, that your own center is a trustworthy place to be. As the body begins to trust this new reality, something incredible happens to the shadow energies you once suppressed. They begin to reveal their hidden gifts. This is what Jung called finding the gold in the shadow. You were taught that your anger, your selfishness, your fierce no were dangerous and ugly. You banished them to the basement. But when you go down into that basement, flashlight in hand, and look at them with courage, you realize they are not monsters. They are caged, powerful parts of your own life force. The anger you so feared, once integrated, is not a weapon of random destruction. It is the focused, diamond-hard clarity of discernment. It becomes the energy that allows you to cut through manipulation and see a situation for what it is. It is the fuel for righteous action, not just for yourself, but for others who are truly in need. It transforms from resentful bitterness into a clean, protective fire that guards the perimeter of your soul. The selfishness you were so ashamed of reveals itself to be the sacred act of self-preservation. It is the wisdom that knows you must put on your own oxygen mask before helping others. Once honored, this impulse is what allows you to cultivate your own gifts, to pursue your own joy, to fill your own cup until it naturally overflows. It is no longer about taking from others. It is about finally allowing yourself to receive from your own life. You discover that your creative projects, your rest, your passions, are not indulgences. They are essential. And as the noise of external demands and internal suppression quiets down, a subtle, almost forgotten faculty begins to stir within you. This is your intuition. For years, your inner compass was broken, its needle wildly spinning or permanently pointing toward whatever direction would cause the least friction with others. Your gut feelings were hijacked by anxiety, constantly trying to predict and manage the feelings of those around you. Now, in the newfound quiet, you begin to hear a different voice. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It's a quiet knowing in the center of your chest. It's the inexplicable pull toward a certain book, a certain path, a certain person, and the equally inexplicable feeling of resistance toward another, even if they seem perfect on paper. These are the first signals from the self, the true, whole center of your psyche, your inner true north. Learning to trust this intuition is the next stage of the journey. It requires you to value an inner sense of rightness over external validation. You might make a decision that no one understands. You might leave a job, end a friendship, or start a project that seems illogical to the outside world. But your entire being hums with a quiet yes. This is you, finally aligning your life not with the expectations of your persona, but with the deep, authentic blueprint of your soul. And it is precisely when you are feeling stronger, more centered, and more aligned with this inner compass, that life will present you with the final exam. It is the late practical test, and it is far more subtle and seductive than the initial, angry backlash. An old figure from your past, one who was central to the dynamic of self-betrayal, may reappear, but they won't come with the old demands or the old anger. They will come with a story of transformation. They will say, "You were right about everything. I've been to therapy. I've done the work. I finally understand." They will present you with a new, vulnerable, and seemingly self-aware version of themselves. And then comes the hook. You were the only one who ever truly understood me. I need your wisdom, your unique perspective, to help me stay on this new path. Can we just talk, like we used to? Your insight is so valuable. This is the most dangerous temptation of all. It's an invitation to step back into the old role, but this time with a promotion. You are no longer the endless giver. You are the wise, healed sage, the spiritual guide. Your ego loves this new role. It feels validating. It proves that your sacrifice wasn't for nothing. It produced this wonderful change in the other person. You get to be the hero of their story. To fall for this is to fail the final exam. It is to be drawn back into the same energetic enmeshment, just with a more sophisticated spiritual costume. Passing the test requires the full integration of your discerning shadow. It requires you to look at the situation and, while holding compassion for their journey, recognize with unblinking clarity that their path is theirs, not yours. Passing the test sounds like this. I am so glad to hear you are doing that work. It sounds like you are on a powerful path. I wish you all the best with it. Full stop. No advice, no analysis, no offer to be their spiritual sounding board. You are not cold, you are clear. You are offering them the ultimate gift, the dignity of their own journey, and the implicit statement that you have faith in their ability to walk it without you as a crutch. In this moment, you are not just holding a boundary for yourself. You are holding a space for their true autonomy. As you pass these tests, both the overt and the subtle, you will notice your relationship landscape beginning to change. Some relationships, the ones built entirely on your old persona, will wither and fall away. This will be painful, a form of grief, but it is the necessary pruning that makes way for new growth. And new growth will come. You will begin to attract and cultivate relationships based not on function and need, but on resonance and mutual respect. You will experience the profound and unfamiliar feeling of being with someone, where you don't have to perform. You can be tired, and they will simply let you be tired. You can be uncertain, and they will hold space for your uncertainty, without trying to fix it. You can have a different opinion, and it will lead to curiosity, not conflict. This is the difference between enmeshment and intimacy. It is a connection between two whole, sovereign individuals, not two fragmented halves trying to complete themselves through the other. This entire process is not a war you win once, but rather a garden you learn to tend for a lifetime. The work of individuation is the work of becoming the gardener of your own soul. Some days, the main task is pulling weeds, noticing the old, reflexive thoughts of guilt, or the urge to overgive and gently removing them. Other days are for watering, actively engaging in the things that fill your cup, that bring you joy and energy, without needing anyone's permission. And some days, the most important work is to simply sit in the garden, to rest in the quiet fullness of your own being, and to appreciate the beauty of what you have cultivated. The goal is not to build an impenetrable fortress. A garden with walls too high receives no sun or rain. The goal is to create a living, breathing ecosystem of the self, with a fence that is strong enough to keep out what is harmful, but with a gate that you, and only you, can open, consciously and joyfully, to share your authentic bounty with a world that needs it. You are no longer an empty cup waiting to be filled, or a public well to be plundered. You are a deep, self-replenishing spring, and the kindness that now flows from you is no longer the desperate currency of a frightened soul. It is the clear, life-giving water of your own wholeness.